And that's why I say Peter must be president. Look at this. Look at this. Look at this. These are the niggas who know how to run a country, man.
Yeah, South Africa first with Brady McCasso for the people.
I hate Krikamba. I hate Kwara. I hate Zai Zai.
Yup. You read the title very properly. We are reacting to Hendrik Verwoerd. They call him the architect of apartheid. Let's hear what the man has to say. Bro, film was bad back then, bro. Too bad.
The Republic is the only sure and stable friend that the Western nations have in Africa. We are here to stay, and we are here to aid all others in whatever they may need and can get from us. We have, for a very long time, developed in South Africa a nation of our own, friendly, prosperous, progressive. We hope that the rest of Africa will become likewise. Fortunately, even former opponents of the Republic, those who were in favor of a monarchy, are now prepared to give it full loyalty and cooperation. We are very happy to be a united people. Of course, there has been...
And notice how he's speaking about unity. He's speaking about building the South African state. He hasn't said we are building a Boer state. He hasn't said we are building a white-only state. Separate development. You know, the idea of separate development that, you know, I'm going to make myself better and help you to make yourself better, but you don't get to depend on me. So separate development back in apartheid meant that. Not this nonsense that we have now where it is written in law that other people are allowed to develop and others are not. Separate development means with your inequities that you may have as black people, as white people, we're gonna try to turn those into strengths and develop together. Of course, during apartheid, you know, the economy mostly worked for the white people, but that was because they were a smaller group within that particular regime, and the black people happened to be a lot, and they were pushed away into the Bantu stance that later turned into townships. So it looks as if that black people were oppressed, but what was happening during apartheid that many people seem not to talk about is the idea of gradual development. I mean, you can check with things like electricity and housing. Already in the 1990s, there were South Africans who had RDP houses. So RDPs is not like an ANC public policy position. RDPs actually started during apartheid. ESCOM, gradually, a lot of black South Africans were getting access to the connection to the grid of electricity provided by ESCOM. So they wouldn't tell you such things. That people like Henry are interested or were interested in gradual development of everybody, even though it was not popular back in the day to take a position that the white people are going to stay here and the black people are going to stay on the other side of town.
In sensational journalism and conditioned reporting, which created the impression that there would be great difficulties ahead of us. We have no doubt that all this will pass. Certain restricted measures had to be taken recently, mainly to ensure the protection of the masses of all races who seek peace and order.
Protection of all masses of all races who seek peace and order. And we shouldn't come on here and try to pretend as if all black people during apartheid were homogeneous in their political positioning and rhetoric. There were groups within and amongst black people that, you know, were for capitalism. They were for federalism. It is your political organizations like your IFP right now that were brutally murdered by the Umkhonto weSizwe, the military wing of the ANC during apartheid. And it is currently even recorded that most deaths that happened between the period of 1948 and 1994, which is pretty much when apartheid was happening, most of the murders took place between 1990 and 1994 as a consequence of the brutal aggression that, the Umkhonto weSizwe had against the IFP. They said, we do not want your ideas and we do not want you to be in power. As a matter of fact, we want socialism. The ANC was saying that. That's why today you see them very much in cahoots with trade unions and communist organizations like the South African Communist Party. They will never tell you that Hendrik Verwoerd wanted to build a country and that works for everybody. But of course, because their philosophy is a separatist government, it looks to the world and to everybody and the imama, the socialists, as if these people were pretty much just racist and hating the blacks and oppressing the blacks. But if you ask a lot of black old people today, they will tell you there were jobs during apartheid. There was dignity. Black families stayed together. Things worked. Ramaphosa can come to us today and tell us that there were 100 companies that he had to go to looking for a job and he happened to find it on one. There were 100 companies that you can go to and, you could get employment during the times of apartheid. He's so dumb and, out of touch with reality. He's not even seeing that he was promoting apartheid to us. And, I say, Ramaphosa is right. He's right. There were jobs during apartheid. There was order, law and order. A lot of people reject the dom passes. Me, I say, bring back the dom pass, bro. We have a lot of illegal immigrants in South Africa. If everybody carried dom pass and the police stopped you in the street and said, show me a dom pass, you don't got a dom pass, they'll whoop your ass, throw you in jail and deport your ass. Apartheid did that. It had law and order. They're gonna call me a white people glazer. It's fine. Hit that sub button, hit that like button, and open your notifications. Because we are here, man. Yeah, they lied to you. They lied to you in school. I know they did a number on you, bro.
The record of stable government will continue in South Africa. Surely it must be a record. 6 prime ministers and only 5 changes of government in 50 years. However, in the future, we will seek the same form of stability.
This guy looks like Peter Groenewald, man. I'm not gonna lie. Look at this. Look at this. Let me pull him up. That nigga looks like Peter Groenewald, man. Oh Lord. Yeah, Bush had that name over there. Bro, look at this, bro. Look at this, bro. That guy looks like Peter. Can I get a picture, man? Oh, Peter. Peter, that looks like you. And that's why I say Peter must be president. Look at this. Look at this. Look at this. These are the niggas who know how to run a country, man. Let's stop it with giving it to the black people. The black people have run this country to the ground. I'm black myself, man. But I want this country to work. I'm not glazing nobody on the premises of color, but it's like, even Henry, he's being villainized right now, being made a villain, but god damn it, there was law and order, the economy was booming, our military was at its most peak, we had nuclear weapons, black families were together. In fact, I would argue that the apartheid government did more for black people than the ANC government did. The ANC government has turned your kids into prostitutes, young men into criminals and drug addicts. uneducated. They celebrate 30% pass. Majority of young people who register for grade R are not there when the Umelusi gives us the matric pass each and every year. A lot of young people had already dropped out. That's the legacy of the ANC. Families have disintegrated in the townships today because there are no jobs, there are no opportunities, there's no plight on the black man. The black man has been pushed aside. He's been made violent. The black female is hypersexualized in our society. That is the legacy of the ANC. Things that were not possible under that government of apartheid. It's very easy to look at me and say that guy is an apartheid glazer, but if you are a very reasonable person and you listen to the things that I have to say, you know, I'm one of the first people, in fact, I'm the first person to say this in this country, that apartheid was amazing in terms of the quality of life, the general quality of life of people. If the townships are so horrible, why didn't the ANC get rid of townships for over 30 years? They've been in power for over 30 years. If the township is so horrible, why is the EFF promising to build RDPs for people, for black people in the townships? Why are they not getting rid of them? Because it is not about the RDPs. It is not about the townships. It is about a growing economy. Whether the economy is growing and it works for everybody or it doesn't. The quality of life today, one could argue that it is worse than it was during apartheid. The rand, the value of the rand, ladies and gentlemen. The rand was amazing. The rand could hold its own against the pound and the US dollar. Today we can't. But we are the apartheid glazers for calling these things out, having brains that work and having common sense. Right?
In government, in the Republic, which should ensure stability too in the economic life of the country. Not for us, the sudden constitutional upheavals which created dictatorships in certain parts of Africa, chaos in the Congo, and forms of multiracial government elsewhere which only create the desire for domination by one over the other, without any economic certainty developing. We seek gradual development of each of our groups in a certain direction.
Gradual development, separatist development. Black people, build for yourself, develop for yourself, and you shall receive help from the apartheid government. Get your act in order. Fix the crime. Innovate. Generate products, provide services that, attract investment. That's what the whites were doing. And people are angry because there were divisions saying the white people this way, the black people this way. What I will ask is, what was so difficult about our black communities building these things for themselves? Of course, with the help of the apartheid government, because the apartheid government wanted that for us to build and sustain our own communities over time, while curbing illegal immigration, while ensuring that companies are here in South Africa investing so that South Africans can have jobs. The complete opposite of what is happening today.
Here the solution is sought by openly retaining the white man's guiding hand, which elsewhere is the hidden guarantee of industrial development and even good administration. Here we follow the example of the nations, and creating separate chances of development for each of our racial groups. We seek to give the opportunity for cooperation in a novel way by the creation of a Commonwealth of Southern Africa as our ultimate aim.
Oh, that's where it started. Oh, okay.
And in this Commonwealth, cooperation and consultation will be able to take place between all racial groups on the highest level. May this peace and prosperity and aid to all be made possible by the cooperation of our friends in the Western nations.
Bro, imagine if apartheid existed for 100 years. Because, I mean, the reason I say that is because also if you look at the murder rates in the black community between 1994 and 2016, they tell you that over 600,000 black people were killed and murdered. And most of them, that happened at the hands of other black people. So that was black on black violence and murder, in a sense. You look at the stats between 1948 and 1994, and you find out that only over about 21,000 black people died, and majority of that happened between 1990 and 1994 as a result of the conflict between Umkhonto weSizwe and the IFP. So you look at that, and if you're a sensible person, you ask yourself, really, who is so much benefiting and lying to us about history like this, that apartheid was genocidal? Apartheid was not genocidal, it was a separatist government. You know, you develop yourself over there, we develop ourselves over here. And of course, black people are not a homogeneous group. Even the apartheid architects could appreciate the diversity among the black people of South Africa, the Bantu people, that among us we had the Zulus, we have the Basutus, we have the Shonas, we have all these other groups that have a different way of all looking at life and conducting their business and going on about their lives. So they put us into provinces where it is easier to be habitable, because then when it is like that, it is understandable that people within these cultural groups understand life in a certain way and they want to conduct the affairs of their society in a particular manner. And the apartheid state really wanted to create that. That's what apartheid actually means. Separating different forms of government, but also uniting them under one central government, federal government.
Yeah, South Africa first.
Y'all don't know this, but class is in session. This is South Africa Fast.
I hate Krikamba. I hate Kwara Kwara. I hate Zai Zai.